Welcome to Stock Investor Daily. I'm Dave Dineland, and today we have an interview with David Mishry. He's CEO and founder of Mullen Automotive Inc., trading on the NASDAQ under the ticker symbol MULN. Mullen is a Southern California-based automotive company that owns and partners with several synergistic businesses working toward the unified goal of creating clean and scalable energy solutions. Now, the company is working to provide exciting EV options built entirely in the U.S. and made to fit perfectly into the American consumer's life. And now, without further ado, we have an exclusive one-on-one interview with David Mishry, CEO of MULN, that's Mullen Automotive. A lot of things to say from David's point of view. He had a great day in trading today, which is, this interview is coming up on Wednesday, October 19th, just so you know. The stock is up. A lot of things going on. We want to talk about a number of different subjects here, David. So let's go ahead and address them, and then you could just kind of go off and tell us exactly what you think, what your thoughts are about these particular subjects.
Well, first, let me thank you for inviting me, and let's get the show on the road.
Okay. As far as dilution goes, stock price, any of those types of things, I know we can't talk really about the price of the stock, but what we're talking about here on the street, so to speak, what people are bringing up on the investor side is the shorting of the company, the dilution of the company, those sort of things. Obviously, I will point out one thing, that's obvious from me doing this for a while. Over 20 years is you're going to have dilution in the stock if you're making acquisitions. I mean, that's one thing to point out. But as far as what's going on with the company right now, why don't you talk about that and just address a couple of these things?
Sure. These are great times for us. I do understand that the economy is in disarray, and I know that the market has been getting beat up extensively, and I know that all the not just the EV stocks that are out there, but just stocks in general, even the indices are all getting beat up. But the good news is what you do in this market to enhance your ability to perform. And again, potential maybe works in a good market, but in a market like this, it's going to be fundamentals. It's going to be being able to get to the fundamentals. And I'm trying like hell to point this company in a direction to where this company can be ultra successful. And it starts with using its currency, which is its stock, to make smart acquisitions that can change the direction of any company. And what I mean by that, it's not where you start, it's where you finish, right? And maybe an acquisition that somebody might say, hey, don't understand it, don't see what the potential is. Believe me, and I'm going to specifically use Bollinger as an example. I'm a big fan of their product and have been for a long time. And when I saw that B1 and B2, I originally thought it was a GM product. And looking at that, I said to myself, now that's a home run. And then when I got to dig in deeper into it, and after a few years of realizing that it wasn't a GM product and that Bollinger was out in the market to try to raise money and decided to go to a commercial line of vehicle to cut the time as well as the risk to launch, and decided that they were going to go into a class 3 through 6 vehicle, I started to take a deeper dive into it and realized that, and looking at the B, again, going back to the B1 and B2, I thought to myself, wow, here's a vehicle that is an all-terrain vehicle that performs like no other vehicle, no other off-road vehicle that I've ever seen, both on the road and off the road. And what I mean by that, and I'm talking massive, challenges like terrain, some of the most challenging terrains in the state of Utah and the state of Colorado, where you really a vehicle, even a Jeep or a Range Rover would have a problem in climbing some of these, are aggressively navigating through these terrains. And I saw the Bollinger, time and time over and again and again and again perform. And what I mean by that, literally in a manner in which only one other vehicle, in my opinion, did what it could do. And that was the Hummer H1 that is in military service today. And it's in military service because it could do exactly that. It can go places that no other off-road vehicle can go. I saw that in Bollinger. And then when I got a chance to take a look at their intellectual property and look at the unique items that they've designed to allow it to their upper arms, their lower arms, the construction, the special gearboxes, the special braking systems, the way they articulate their architecture to enable that vehicle to carry items that no truck on the planet can carry, made me a big believer that this could be the successor to the Hummer H1 at some point. So my focus wasn't necessarily the commercial side of the business where they were going with the class 3 through class 6, which I believe will be very successful and will generate money today, now. I looked at the long-term potential of what this would mean as a potential military vehicle. And believe me when I say that I think this is a very capable vehicle. It kind of reminded me of when the B-1 bomber was actually introduced to the general population during the Gulf War, and people were amazed on this new state-of-the-art bomber developed by the U.S. government. And it starts with, I believe, military contracts, and then it'll accelerate into the retail market segment. And I believe it'll be big there as well because it just looks great. And to me, simplicity sells. So to look at something and to see the potential 2 or 3 years down the road is what excited me about Bollinger as a company. So I believe that the investment that the shareholders in Mullen have made in Bollinger will transition into one of the greatest achievements that I've ever made, because I believe it'll be highly successful. And I believe that the B1 and B2 will surpass any expectation that anybody has ever had for an off-road vehicle other than the vehicle branded the H1, which has been in service for 30 years, developed by AM General and built for the US government, and was also available for a decade as a retail product and was highly successful there as well. And then the offshoots, the Hummer H2, both SUV and SUT. So now let me get to the reason for ELMS. Obviously, again, we talked about ELMS, a $1.4 billion market cap, I believe, somewhere around there, and cash on hand, factory product, a vehicle that was homologated both class 1 and class 3. I mean, assets that to me took many years to develop, lots of money, and a facility that if you try to build from the ground up, you're going to spend a lot of money. So the H2, SUV, and SUT, ironically, which are about the same structure as the B1 and B2, and sit into that what we call class 3 category. Here's a factory that was built for that spec. And my long-term vision is the B1 and B2. How am I going to build that vehicle? Because without the proper facility for it, we're talking $1 billion+ spend. So think about this. Here I am now with a product that I think is generational. And now I just acquired an entire asset base, which includes a factory that would otherwise, I'd spend, God knows how much, $750 million as an example, to do the same thing and take about 3 or 4 years to get there. I did it for less than $100 million. So now I have a home for the B1 and B2. But more importantly, not only a home, I have the home of the former Hummer H2 SUV and SUT, ironically similar to the B1 and the B2. The B1 is the SUV, the B2 is the SUT, meaning call it things happen for a reason. Well, to me, it's just too much of an, coincidence that a former Hummer facility built on the same type of platform as the B1 and B2 is now available to accelerate my path to production and reduce my costs dramatically. So now it makes the B1 and B2 a reality. Not only does it make the B1 and B2 a reality, it makes my MULN 5 a immediate success, meaning I'm not going to spend $1.3 billion to build out my Tunica, Mississippi facility to support 1,000,000 square foot build, because I'm going to need a fully developed paint shop, fully developed body shop, and an expanded G&A. I can accomplish all of those goals in Mishawaka. That's ready now. So to answer the next question, Bollinger is on a accelerated path to production for the Bollinger B4 and then subsequently B3 through B6, meaning these are cab forward trucks. And I believe that they're going to impact the market dramatically. And we are on a path for a class 1 through 3 on the Mullen side. I decided that the perfect place to do all commercial development and builds would be in Tunica, Mississippi, because it's an existing facility that we already have, and it can handle general assembly and light, body shop production. So it opens up the possibility to, one, accelerate the path on the commercial vehicles, and it gives us the bandwidth to mitigate the risk getting into B1, B2, Mullen 5, and Mullen 5 RS production in Mishawaka, Indiana. So we've now successfully cut our costs and accelerated our path to production. Now, people may not see that. People may only look at, wow, here's a early stage development company that just bought an early stage development company, which is not the truth, because we've been around for 8+ years, and so has Bollinger. So maybe it's two old companies that decided to get together and use each other's resources and cross-pollinize its teams to accelerate its path to production on all fronts. Now, how this all plays out, time will tell. But from my perspective, these two acquisitions, no one else in the space has ever done anything like this. Nobody. We're the first guy to go out there. You may want to call, if you want to call it a roll-up strategy, you can. And I have no problem being regarded, as a roll-up king. But what I really did here was I strategically positioned the company to get to market as quick as it possibly can and mitigate its cost to do so. And again, when we start to post revenue in 2023, early 2023, and we start to announce customers and we start to announce all of the wonderful things that are in the pipeline, then, then people can pass judgment. They can either say that this guy here was smart in his approach in a bad market, or they can say he was a complete and utter failure. It's a long haul. And by the time that it's all said and done, I think that the investors that are invested in Mullen are going to be real happy that we made the acquisitions and took the path that we took.
I have a couple of other questions for you, but first I want to get to this particular little factoid and get you to comment on this. And this goes back to the news regarding ELMS and Bollinger, like we're speaking about, as far as the bankruptcy approval to purchase the ELMS assets, et cetera. And Fisker is at a $2 billion market cap, having just acquired a factory and no cars on the road. MULN is at correct me if I'm wrong, is at a $126 million market cap, winning the bankruptcy auction for $294 million worth of assets. That includes the factory, which we're talking about in Indiana, Mishawaka, and also recently acquiring 60% of Bollinger. Like to comment about that?
Sure. Well, let's just look at, we bought Bollinger for $148.2 million, and we've gotten all the ELMS assets for just under $100 million, whatever the number is. So let's just call it $250 million expended, right? How the heck can you have a market cap of $200 million when you have assets worth, meaning even based on GAAP, on what you paid for them? If we took accounting principles and used GAAP, it's still $250 million, right? So I don't go by any of that, right? I mean, to me, the company's only worth what somebody's willing to pay for it. But believe me when I tell you this, there's companies out there that got, $5 billion market caps, $6 billion market caps, and don't have 2 factories, don't have product, don't have the history we have and the history that Bollinger has. And we have a portfolio of IP that'll blow your mind, and so does Bollinger. And we just acquired a bunch of IP from ELMS. So think about that. Just put it in perspective. If you want to just value this on intellectual property, or you want to value it on GAAP, what was paid for it. I mean, I'm not telling people, how to do your due diligence. I'm just telling them that typically, if it were me, I would look at the value being predicated on what someone was willing to pay for something. And we paid for these combined assets, 200 and, call it $50 million. How the hell do you have a market cap less than what you spent? Plus, that doesn't include Mullen, right? So, hey, I know the stock is undervalued. That's okay by me. The same way it's undervalued, we can turn around one day, hopefully in the very near future, and we have, a Goliath market cap predicated on fundamentals.
Talking about this particular piece of news on these acquisitions, I want to talk about 3 things all wrapped around this acquisition. Number 1 is B4 Bollingers are to be delivered to fleet customers fall of 2022. ELMS has binding contracts, again, correct me if I'm wrong, for vans with places like Penske, United Road, and others, along with the fact that you've been talking with, we'll use the word talking with for now, because that's what it's right now, without news being out, multiple Fortune 500 companies, etc.
I don't want to get into that one again.
Well, no, but what my
no. But in all fairness,
it's
okay.
It's about leveraging those contacts that you've already spoken with, and now you have an ELMS and a Bollinger to go with that.
We're not just talking to 1 or 2 different groups. We're talking to some really, really big, gigantic. There's some big opportunities for us, and nothing to do with ELMS. Just Mullen in general is out there being aggressive. We're doing what all the other guys are doing. We're trying to take our product. We know that we're the only ones in the market right now with a Class 1 vehicle, and we think we can do some damage. Now, the good news is, we have product, and we have the ability to deliver quick. So now we got to convert that into dollars, and then we take the dollars and we show people that we've generated revenue, because no one wants to hear, what do they call it? The potential. People are sick and tired of potential. Then don't tell me about potential. Tell me about dollars and going into your bank account from sales of vans. Well, we're going to show them dollars going into our bank account from sales of vans. And again, when I say I mean the shareholders. Every shareholder that owns stock in Mullen is going to be, is going to have pride to be able to look at their friend, and they're going to say, hey, we as a group, as an entity, as a team, have delivered on vehicles, and we can service them, and we have a solution to grow the business to a level where it becomes influential, meaning capturing market share.
A lot of interesting things going on with the company, David. I guess a final question for you is anything else you like to go ahead and stress? Anything maybe we didn't talk about, or possibly shareholders and prospective investors that are now following the company over the last couple of days of trading might want to know about the company from your point of view?
Sure. Again, I'll reiterate that the company's focus is fundamentals, is getting out there and not just saying we're going to do something, but actually do it. And we believe that we've demonstrated or are about to demonstrate that not only did we make some great decisions in these 2 acquisitions, one of them which is an asset acquisition, but more importantly, the ability to deliver on product and the ability to get to market quickly, faster than anybody else in this commercial segment. So we're very pleasantly excited to get out there and take advantage of the wide open market that's been created for us and to deliver on fundamentals. We'll have some great events, things to report on a regular basis, and it's all going to start with these Class 1 vans on our end, and Class 1 and Class 3, as well as 1 through 3, and then with Bollinger, it'll start with the Class 4, and then it'll go Class 3 through 6. So, and we'll both share jointly a lot of the technologies that we've both developed, and we'll also cross-pollinize teams, and we'll try to take control of the entire commercial segment 1 through 6. And we think we can do that pretty quickly and efficiently. And proud to announce that we have 2 fully functional facilities, one which is a mega facility in Mishawaka, Indiana, and the other which is an amazing general assembly facility in Tunica, Mississippi. And how many guys can actually say that they can not only create a car, but actually build it and sell it? And I think that's where we make ourselves different, right? We differentiate between us and everybody else. Is here is deliverables. Let us collect cash and record that and move on to the next project. So it's going to come down to just generating receivables and hopefully making profits and building a company, and maybe doing something that most of these other guys can't do, and that's establish a segment or market in a segment that right now is completely wide open, Class 1 through 6. And then we get to Bollinger B1, B2, MULN 5 and 5RS, which is good for me, which is the fun stuff, right? It's being able to bend the envelope and to do things that people only dream about doing, but we're going to make it a reality. I trademarked Imagine What's Possible. And, we're going to show people what that means. We're going to deliver product, and it can only happen here in America. This is the land of opportunity, free enterprise. And we're going to take full advantage of that. And we're going to create all of the fundamentals in a bad market to create the activity needed to have sustainability and growth. So these are all the things that we are going to pride ourselves in doing as a team, right? From the top all the way down to the bottom. And it starts today, not tomorrow.
My guest has been David Mishry, CEO and founder of Mullen Automotive, Inc., trading on the NASDAQ under the ticker symbol MULN. If you'd like to find out some more information about the company, take a look at their corporate website. Website address is mullenusa.com. David, thank you so much for joining us today. It
was a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
And once again, thank you so much for David Mishry for joining us. He is CEO and founder of Mullen Automotive, Inc. Again, the company trading on the NASDAQ stock exchange under the ticker symbol MULN. If you'd like to find out some more information on the company, you can go over to their corporate website. A lot of information over there to be had. And that website is mullenusa.com. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Dave Donlin for Stock Investor Daily.